Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Rick Grant. I'm the editorial director for Weekly Real Estate News, and I'm thrilled that you're with us today. It's going to be a great show. But first, let's do some housekeeping very quickly. First, we know you're busy, so we've designed this show to try to give you all the meat and potatoes within the first 30 minutes or so. We might go longer. And if we can, if you do want to go longer, we're going to have Q&A afterwards with our guest, our expert guest, and we'll try to get as many of those questions answered as we can. Now, you can send those questions to us at any time during the show, but I will be back on at the end to help you get some of those answered. The show will be available on demand afterwards, so if you do have to leave us at the bottom of the hour, you can always come back and get those. And finally, if you'd like to be a guest on a future webinar in this series, reach out to us through wrenews.com. Now, Jennifer Yao has spent the last 18 years in the real estate business. She started Presidio Real Estate in 2011 and built her brokerage up to 500 excellent agents and 14 locations across the state of Utah. She specializes in luxury real estate and second home sales, and she's here today to talk to you about the 5 things successful real estate agents do. Now, when we come back, she's going to be visiting with John Glenn Stevens. He's the publisher of Weekly Real Estate News, and I'll introduce you to those two, or deliver them up, right after this. All right, you guys are live. I'm going to turn it over to you, and you guys can take it from here.
So excited. Thank you so much, Rick. Appreciate all the hard work you're putting into this. And Jen, I'm so excited to have you on here with us today. I've known Jen for many, many years. In fact, do you still put on those fun Easter events where all the kids come and it's just a big madhouse running for all those Easter eggs?
We do. And we do the adult ones too. They're even funner.
Oh, yeah. Watch out though, right? Because those adults, they're pretty serious about getting those eggs.
For sure. Thanks for having me, John. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, absolutely glad. And how's Darren doing, by the way? For those of you who know Jen, you know Darren is equally as awesome as she is, just constantly supporting you and helping you out. How's he doing?
He's so good. I always say you're only as good as the support you have in real estate. And man, I got a great husband, so I'm doing good.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to make sure we get right into the meat and potatoes. When Jen and I first started talking about, doing this, the 5 things, that successful real estate agents do, knowing her for all these years, one thing that she's really, really big on, and I'm sure you'll talk about today, is raising the bar on our industry. And that's something that, especially right now in our industry, needs to happen. We need people like Jennifer out there, whether it be on the local, the national level, whatever it may be, really raising that bar on every single thing they do. And so really excited about this topic you have prepared. I know you've got some slides for us as well today. And so I say, let's get right into it.
Yay, let's do it. Oh, great. Let's start.
Perfect. I love it. Yeah. Rick is on top of it. He's good.
Yeah. Way to go, Rick. So top 5 things that successful realtors do. Obviously, the very first thing is having your mindset right? I mean, it is crazy how easy a career can take your mindset into so many different realms. But, it's like, imagine it with me. You wake up in the morning and your first thought is, today's going to suck. I just have all these appointments. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be such a hard day. Or you wake up in the morning and your first thought is, I'm going to crush it today. Today is going to be amazing. Can you feel the energy, the difference between that? There's such a huge difference in that mindset shift, right?
Huge. Absolutely huge. Especially, right now with the market and you could wake up, there's no homes for sale. There's nothing on the market. I just read on WRI News, there's been a home on the market in Tasmania for 1,500 days. There's homes, right? There's stuff out there.
Well, and I bet there's a couple of realtors on here that are like, I could sell it.
Exactly.
That's a mindset thing right there.
I've got someone.
It's so crucial to your business. It really is. And it's crazy because we listen to the news and the news might say all this negative stuff about the market and houses are taking forever to sell. And if we listen to those types of things instead of switching our mindset, it can really, really hinder our progress. In my slide here, in 2011 when I started my brokerage, 2009, the downturn had kind of hit me. And I was like, what's going on? I watched all my colleagues get other jobs. And I thought, well, I can't let this hinder me. I have to figure out how to deal with this. And one of the biggest things, mindset shifts for me, was people still need to buy and sell homes, whether it's a foreclosure, a short sale, an REO, whatever it is. That was a huge mindset shift for me. So I immediately started learning everything I could learn about short sales, REOs. I went to the conventions. I did everything it took, and I started knocking doors. And I was one of the top producers in 2009, 9 and 10, because I picked up listings of people that had no clue what they were going to do with their homes. And of course, it was short sales. And I knew them because I studied them. So it was a mindset shift for me right then in 2011. And I think any market, you really have to have a strong mindset in order to succeed.
I love that. And I love that it was during the Great Recession that you made that mindset change, because a lot of people, they decided, like you said, they were leaving the industry in droves, right? They were like, hey, I'm done. I'm washing my hands of it. I'm out of here, and some of those are back, and congratulations to them. But by you making that mind shift change, that turned you from just, hey, I'm doing this, to now you really are a leader in the industry. What would you credit the number one thing? Like, can you pinpoint what made you decide to do that mindset? What was an action you took? What was a daily mantra you maybe made? What was it that you decided to change that mindset?
Well, I think I challenge everything. So if someone was to say to me, the market's tough, man, I challenge it. I don't believe it. I go, oh, okay, hang on. Is it really tough? And I start to so when people are saying, everyone's upside down in their homes, nobody can buy or sell, this is crazy, the market's so crazy, I was like, wait, is it? And so I really just challenge everything. And that's my best advice to you. Challenge everything you hear, every thought that comes in your head, because it's your mindset. You're in control of it. And you got to dominate that. You have to be able to say to yourself, I'm going to be relentless, no matter what the market landscape looks like, no matter what's going on. I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to believe in myself. And I think that's what differentiates successful agents from the agents that are probably going to find another job, get out of the business.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's critical thinking, changing your mindset.
For sure. Next one is to have a routine. I can't express how important this is to have. I mean, John, you tell me your routine, your morning routine. You got to have one, right?
Oh, absolutely. Wake up, I check the news, then get up, get ready for the day. My wife always teases, making that bed. That's one of the most important things you can do first thing in the morning, right? Yeah. And then same thing, check my emails while eating breakfast, and going on, so on and so forth. And then I get ready for the day, right? Because I do believe that if you're in your jammies all day, getting, doing things like that. Yes, I call them jammies, just so everybody knows. So, if you stay like that all day, then I believe, for me personally, I am more productive if I dress as if I'm going out and going to do something. I may be in my home all day. I may be only in the office all day, but I'm in a mindset that I'm going to go meet with people and I'm ready at any given time.
Well, I love that. And, I think Gary Vaynerchuk is the one that said, just have small wins. And like you said, making the bed, that's a small win. And it's weird how psychologically that helps for you. But I get up at 6 a.m. every single morning. I do a small workout, nothing massive. I'm not like some big gym junkie, but it's a small win for me. It's, I did 25 push-ups, 15 squats, whatever it is. And I do all that. And then I go get in the shower, get ready. And I don't look at my phone until 8:30 in the morning. And my agents and all my exec team and everybody knows that. I won't look at it because I cannot be distracted with my morning routine before I come to work and crush it the rest of the day. So you kind of have to have these routines. Now, I'm not saying my routine is the right routine to do all the time. There's so many other people that have really good regimented routines. Get up, go to the gym. They check their email. They work on their email in the morning before they go to the office. Whatever works for you, have a routine and stick to it. That's really my best advice on that, because you have to be able to have something that you're going to do. For me, I know for sure I'm going to be in my office from 9 to 5. That's my mentality. And there's a lot of realtors we're kind of like, independent contractors, do whatever we want, right? Mm-hmm. And so 9 to 5 to them is like, oh, that feels like a job. But for me, my routine is 9 to 5. I'm in the office. And that way I know I'm working, and then I can do all my other stuff outside of that.
Well, I love that, because your clients also know you're available. If you say I'm working from 9 to 5, your clients know you're going to answer your phone. And if you don't, you're going to get back with them. Right. I mean, how many, in my world, I get so many complaints. Oh, so-and-so wouldn't call me back. So-and-so didn't answer their phone. Well, are they available, right? Have you set that expectation for yourself, let alone for your clientele?
And I love that because there are certain agents, you call their phone, you get their voicemail that says, I'll be prospecting from this hour to this hour. I'll call you back after that. That's a routine. Now, again, everybody can have their own routine, but you got to have it. And you don't get discouraged because it takes time to get in the swing of doing a routine, but you should have some sort of regimen.
I love that. And it's kind of like, everybody wants to make more money. That's your big goal, right? But set your micro goals in place. And so that's where, talking about this with a routine, what are your micro goals? What are your things that, and I love how on your slide it talks about that, just those positive reinforcing little things you can check off during the day, because we all have more to do than we have time. So it's easy to go back into, like you talked about before, your mindset, that negative mindset. Oh, I'm not good enough, or I didn't accomplish it, or set those micro goals. I really love this routine. Love it a lot, actually.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, one routine I have is every single day, my goal is to empty my inbox. Now, I treat my inbox like a to-do list. So if it is in my inbox, I haven't taken care of it yet. If I have, I put it and file it away into another folder. And so I've trained all my staff to be that way too. So their inbox is a task list, to-do list. That's my routine. Now, there are a lot of people that don't do it that way. They have 5,786 things in their inbox. I would go insane.
Oh, I have so much anxiety.
Yeah, me too. But that's my routine, and that's how I function. So sometimes when people say, okay, from 9 to 5, you should be prospecting. 9 to 3, you should be prospecting. And 2 to 6, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Sometimes as realtors and independent contractors, we don't like that structure. The whole reason we got into this business was so we didn't have a boss, right? But you got to have some little benchmark saying what you are doing all day long and keep to it, so that and even if it is just empty your inbox at the end of the day, if that's it, good for you.
Well, and I think that's a big important thing, because a lot of people can't handle, being a real estate agent, you work from home often. A lot of real estate agents, the vast majority, there's a news piece we released talking about the vast majority of brokerages are just simple one person. And so these people may not be working out of an office. They may be working from home. And how many people unfortunately fail because they stop doing the routine, right? They're like, oh, I can sleep in today. Oh, I'm just going to go do this today. And then all of a sudden your hard driving work becomes less because you no longer follow that regimen, right? And the regimen can be flexible. Wouldn't you agree? Is it okay to have a flexible routine?
Absolutely. Yeah. But have some sort of a structure. Like you said, John, you can be pulled away in so many different directions in a day that if you don't have some sort of a structure, you could easily be, become the lazy agent. Doesn't ever do anything. Okay, next thing, be techie. This is kind of funny because back when I got in the industry, the average age of a realtor was 65 years old. I think that's changed. I think a lot of younger agents have come into the place. But if you think about it, how many 65-year-olds do you know that are on Snapchat? Or how many do you know that know how to do reels, right? Yeah. I actually have seen a lot of agents, not even in a higher age, but that still say, I don't want to learn something new. I don't want to learn something new. And unfortunately, you have to. It's kind of become a sink or swim thing in our business where you have to learn some new tech. Now, you don't have to learn it all, but you kind of have to have a few things that work for you. So on my slide here, it shows that every year agents spend somewhere between $850 to $1,500 a year on tech. So you have to have these things because it's problem solving 101. Apps that will help you save time, make you more efficient, improve your functionality. You have to have those things, right? So you got to be a little bit techie, but it's becoming a sink or swim type thing. If you look on Instagram, you'll see nonstop reels of agents crushing it, right? They're doing incredible things. They're putting out great content. And if you're not doing that, again, you're probably sinking. Now, not always. It doesn't have to be all reels, but it has to be some sort of tech. You got to learn to use tech, right? I use things like Forewarn to double check when I go show a home if I'm going to be safe. I use BombBomb to do videos. I use Reels to, put out content. I've got my own CRM. I've got Google Suite that I use. I use it for everything. It's spreadsheets, documents, all sorts of things. I love it. But you have to be techie in this business. Wouldn't you agree, John?
Oh, 100%. In fact, that's one thing as you know, that's something I very much enjoy doing. And a lot of people, I haven't done it in the past. And it always takes me back to that old saying, right? The best time to plant a tree 20 years ago, right?
Yep.
Next best time to plant a tree today. And so I read a great article about, especially real estate agents. We're trying to do everything. And oftentimes it becomes so overwhelming. And so we have to just kind of line our sight in. So look at Elon Musk with social media. He wasn't trying to be on all platforms. He committed to one and then ended up buying it. Now he called it X, right? And so that's the same thing. So where are you looking to get your clientele? Use that tech to get that clientele, right? If I'm out hunting, bluefin tuna, I'm not going up Adams Canyon in Davis County. That's trout, right? And so what kind of fish am I trying to get? And so utilize that. I love how you mentioned Instagram, because the rising wave right now of home buyers, they're millennials. These are people who are on Instagram, and people want to see reels, so videos. They really don't like so much reading things that are in text, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the agents, in my opinion, that are going to be more successful, they're going to be on Instagram. They're going to be doing reels and getting in front of the audience that right now has the money to buy. And so even if that's all you focused on, it's a great start to then expanding out to other tech.
I totally agree. And like you said, John, I think we need to be on everything. You need to be on LinkedIn. You need to be on Facebook. You need to be on Instagram. You need to be on Snapchat. You need to be on TikTok. But I think you need to take 2 of them and focus on those specifically. Put a lot of content on 2 of them. For me, it's Facebook and Instagram. I do have TikTok. I do have Snapchat. I do have LinkedIn, but I don't put enough as the same amount of energy into the other 3.
Yeah. And have you seen success with Facebook and Instagram?
Absolutely. In fact, for the last 5-10 years, I've told my agents that most of my business comes from Facebook, which is kind of funny because it's Facebook, right? But that's where people have become, social. So
I love it. And the nice part about specifically Facebook is they're watching you, they're seeing you, and so they get to know you. Have you ever had someone, I know it's happened to me, I've got into a store and a person came running up, John, how are you? We've never met in real life, but he knew me. He knew my family. He knew everything about us because of what we chose to share, and felt like he knew us and was friendly enough to come up and introduce himself face to face. And so your clients, have you noticed, because of these reels you're putting out, they tend to trust you easier, right?
Absolutely.
Is it awesome?
Yeah. When you show yourself and not just content about real estate, but you show your personality, the things you like, your family. I mean, John knows my husband. Have you ever met my husband in person, John?
No, I haven't. So
know his name because I constantly am posting about my husband, and he and I go on vacations together, and I show that because I really do want people to know me personally too. And that's the key to real estate is let people see your personal side, get to know you personally, because then they learn to love you. They learn to like you. And remember, people work with people they know, love, and trust. So if you're not putting out content about who you are as a person, it may be hindering your business. And so you have to be techie. You have to use some of these platforms to get yourself out there and allow people, they will search you. They will look you up. Your buyers, your sellers, they're going to be looking at you. And if you don't have anything out there that shows that you're putting yourself out there, they'll probably move on to someone that does.
Now, I know we're going to talk about questions at the very end, but you are being inundated with comments right now, Jennifer. Okay. There is one here. I do want to bring this up real fast. And this is from Brandon. Thank you so much, Brandon, for commenting. And he says, where do you find content for reels, carousels, stories on a consistent basis? Rick knew exactly the one I was going to, by the way. Yeah.
I love that you asked that, Brandon, because there's so many resources. We live in a world of information, right? And so for me personally, I find sometimes I don't recreate the wheel. I go out and find people that are crushing it in other states, and I copy what they do on reels and stuff like that. But I also go to you're not going to like this, Brandon. Well, maybe you will, but Pinterest. Pinterest gives me so many ideas, and all I do is search real estate, and it'll give me a graphic that I think is great, and I recreate and put my picture with it. Or it'll give me a quote that I think is awesome, or it'll give me some really good ideas for stories. So I do think that there's so much resources out there. It's insane, but don't reinvent the wheel. That's way too much work. Find somebody that's crushing it and do a lot of the things that they're doing.
And if you're worried about recreating what other people have done, I remember one time someone gave a training and said, if you're ever worried about, having a product or like you said, recreating something or an image that somebody's already done, go walk down the bread aisle at your local grocery store. How many different types of bread are there? No one was scared of making bread, and they're typically all sold out by the end of the day. And so I love, Jennifer, how you said that. Don't be afraid of taking something that somebody's already doing, like an image, and utilizing it, because chances are your followers may not be the same as their followers, and you're pushing out good product.
Exactly. And I love that Brandon brought up ChatGPT. I mean, obviously, as realtors, that is invaluable to be able to put content on our social media, to put content on our listings, to give us a listing description. I mean, it's so great. It's such a great tech thing to use right now. And we have to learn how to utilize these things for our business.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it.
Okay. Next tip is to master your market. I mean, I think it is crazy how many agents, when I ask at my sales meeting, do you know how many homes are on the market right now? And you see nothing but blank stares. Like, this is your business. You have to know these things. And here's why. How many times are you at a networking event and someone says to you, how's the market?
Oh, every time, right?
Every time, without doubt. What's your response? Please tell me it is not, it's good.
Depends on what the numbers show, right? It's
Exactly.
like, you give them that background of what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, knowledge is power. And it's so crazy. If you could say, like, for instance, in my market, and I don't know how many people are in different markets, but in my market right now, the listing price to the listing sold is about $10,000 difference. Okay. So it's crazy because the news medias are saying, oh, the market's so tough, so tough. So sellers are going, oh, I'm not going to list my house right now. It's going to be too hard of a market to list. But if they really had the knowledge that it's only selling for about $10,000 less than list price, then don't you think that gives them power to go, oh, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought, right?
Yep.
But knowing these things and knowing how to communicate with people and explain to them more than the market's good is going to give you a one-up, man. People are going to want to work with someone that knows their business.
Exactly. They don't, everybody talks about, oh, they use you because they like you. Yes, they have to like you to get to know you. But as soon as they realize whether you know something or you don't, they're not going to trust a multi-million-dollar transaction to someone who has no clue what's going on, right?
Oh, totally.
I wouldn't. You wouldn't.
No.
As much as I like someone, I need someone who knows what's going on in order, because how many times have you had to price it a different way than maybe a competitor would because you knew what's going on in the market?
Oh, absolutely. And again, you're right. It gains so much confidence in your clientele for them to know you know what you're talking about. You're not just making it up. You're actually backing it up with all sorts of things. Someone asked me the other day, how's the market? And I think I probably overtalked like I'm doing right now, but I think I went on for about 2 minutes and here's what's happening. And this is what's causing the sellers to think this and buyers think that. And before you know it, he was like, that's awesome. That's so good to know. Because it's not a market's good, right? I mean, obviously we all want to say that because it is good. And yet in the same sense, we have to back it up with facts. And so our MLS shows how many homes hit the market today. Today, 46 homes hit the market. I have that database every single day on my back end website. So I can look at it and go, okay, I know what's happened. 46 homes today. That way, when 75 homes hit it in a day, we're going, okay, now we know what's happening in the market, right? It sets the pace for your landscape of your market.
And you leverage your local MLS. What's the best route you've seen to get that information in a timely manner?
MLS.
Okay.
Yep. Our MLS does stats for us. And it's funny to me how many agents don't see it. We log into it every single day and it's right there in front of your face. How many homes sold? How average days on market right now in all of Utah? 46 days. That's good to know, right? Because how many sellers are going, why is my house taking 172 days to sell? Well, seller, maybe your house is overpriced.
Yeah. If the average is 46, it's like we always joke. If you sell in 5 minutes, you probably listed too low. If it's taken 172 days when the average is 46, you probably listed too high. If it's 1,500 days in Tasmania, okay, something else is going on, right?
Absolutely.
And the price, so cheap. It's like 160,000. I even told Mindy last night, I was like, maybe we should get a home in Tasmania.
Where the heck's Tasmania?
Right? It's like, 1,500 days, they might be willing to do a deal. So
that's right. You might get that for 300. You never know.
I know. Wouldn't that be awesome?
No, but knowledge is power. And it is so crucial for us as agents to know these things. It helps us to distinguish between whether we're listing a property or we're not with a seller that If you bring this information to a listing presentation, hey, by the way, average days on sale on market is 46. And by the way, average list price is 61 and this, and I mean, 661. And you go on and on and on about stats. And they say to you, gosh, I want to list my house 40,000 higher than you told me. You might know whether or not you want to take that listing, right?
Well, exactly. And that's the other thing is I love on your slide how it shows how many sold homes just in Utah County last month. Oh, homes aren't selling. There's nothing on the market. Why should I? Okay, 2,700 homes sold last month in Utah County.
Yeah, you got to know those numbers. You got to know them.
They're like,
Even if it's you average 2,700 homes sold.
Yeah.
Have this knowledge. So master your market. It's crazy to me how many agents don't know these things and they go out there to be an agent and they're just hoping someone calls them to sell a house, but they need to know this stuff.
Absolutely. Critical.
Okay. Last thing is follow-up. But one thing I want to point out is I did not bring up one of the biggest things that agents should be doing, because if you're not doing this, you need to be out of the business, but that's lead generation. Mm-hmm. So you should 100% be lead generating all day, every single day. When I say lead generate, does that mean calling cold calls all day long? No, it means it's standing in the line, like you said, at the grocery store and asking somebody a question. That's lead generating, right? So if you are not doing that, get out of the business, get out. But the tip here is following up. Now, again, they say 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. Never. So think about it. How many homes have you sold? And you sell, 10 a year, and you don't ever follow up. And those people are going to buy every 3 to 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the new stat out at last. It used to be 5 to 7 years, but the new stat's 3 to 5 right now. And we're not following up. You just left so much money on the table. Somebody else is going to be following up. Somebody else is going to be doing social media and catch their eye, and they're going to forget about you. And so this is such a huge thing for me that it blows my mind that agents are not following up. I've got a whiteboard behind my door, and that way when I'm sitting at my desk, I see it. And it shows all my clients and all my prospects, the people that I've talked to, and I list them up there. And the reason why is because if I forget, people take conversations too lightly. Somebody says, "Hey, how's the market?" Yeah, I was talking to my wife today about, maybe moving some point. Okay, guess what just happened in my brain? Prospect. But guess what happens in a lot of other agents' brain? Oh, okay, cool. Well, let me know when you are ready to buy or sell.
Yep.
No, me, log them in, put it in my CRM, and I start dripping on them. He just mentioned that he might sell. So I'm not gonna be the agent that lets that go. And so following up is so crucial. And if you have a follow-up system like your CRM, you should not be leaving a lot of money on the table.
And how much does your CRM cost? I mean, let's really talk nitty-gritty here. You sell one home, you make how much money? What's that CRM cost for a full year that you're using right now?
Well, I've got a proprietary one at my brokerage, but
awesome.
I paid $100 a month for CRMs before.
Okay, so $1,200 a year. What would a home sale have to be to where it's like, oh, it's too expensive, right? $1,200 for a full year, right?
Yeah. Well, you sell one house and average commission's $12,000. So.
Okay. Well, and as a lot of us know, you should be spending 20% of your gross income towards marketing to continue to make sure that during the down season, you don't go as far down, and during the up season, you go above everybody else. And so that's 10%, 12,000 to 1,200. I mean, that's nothing. Now, if you're only selling a couple homes a year, yeah, that becomes expensive in somebody's mind. But if you're using a CRM, like Jennifer's saying, if you're following up, if you're making sure that you're prospecting the right way, 1,200 now becomes something that, listen, that's pennies on the dollar.
Pennies.
Right? We're talking less than 1%. And that's one thing I used to joke with everybody, right? Anybody who makes a call, "Hey, Jennifer, how are you?" And "I'm doing good. Hey, you got any homes for me?" Right? You can't do that. It can't be just upfront. I always tell everybody, you become a member of the NFL, if no friends left. Because they're like,
I love that.
John's calling. He's asking right away, how do you do it with your friends? Do you kind of talk and then at the very end ask, what's something that you do and you found works really well to put it in a natural conversation to where you can get leads that way?
So, I mean, you have to always be selling, right? ABC, always be collecting people for your CRM, ABC. Yeah. But you got to be really careful because like I said to you earlier, John, you have to know your audience. You really do. And so be socially aware. You can't constantly be like thinking, okay, when do I say the words? Do you know anyone that's looking to buy or sell? You know, you have to really, truly be careful with what you're saying. But the opportunity will open up for you at some point. And when it does, you have to know your scripts. You have to know what you're going to say in that moment. And so be prepared and be ready to throw them in your CRM, follow up, get to know these people. It's really, truly about friendship. It is, like John said, NFL, no friends left. You have to know, you have to create friendships. You have to be able to understand who people are. For me, I log things they like. If I know someone likes the Lakers, guess what? I have something to talk about when the Lakers are playing. I can send a text and say, hey, did you see how bad the Lakers did tonight? And I could be teasing them, right? But you have to know people, and that keeps you in front of them. That keeps you, it gives you an opportunity to follow up with them so that they become your friend. And legitimately, these are friends. These are not, I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not saying that I create friends just to close transactions, but I am collecting friends in my life. And I think every real estate agent should be doing that as well. And then hopefully someday they buy or sell a home. But if they don't, they're still my friends.
I love that. In fact, I tell everybody that real estate agents are the original influencers, because think about it. You know, at the end of the day, real estate agents, what do we want to have happen out there? We want people to know they come to us. Yes, we can help them sell their home and buy their home. But in between those life-changing moments, I also want to be able to tell them, hey, here's these great tickets to the home show. Did you guys see this discount on this or that or the other? So that you become that central source of information that when they, you know, we always talk about it, top of mind, right? So when it does come time for buying or selling, you have built that social indebtedness to them where they're like, oh my gosh, Jennifer, she really helped us out when we were buying this car, or she helped us find this great vacation. We're getting ready to sell. Oh, that's right, Jennifer. You know, and so it creates, in my opinion, you know, Jennifer, I'd love your insight on that social indebtedness piece, right? How you handle that. But it makes it to where they're constantly thinking about you, because as a friend, friends want friends to be successful. And so they become, you know, endeared to you. Hey, we really want to buy this home. We really want Jennifer, you know, to take care of us because she's, you know, she's just so kind, so nice. You know, back to the day, you know, the adult Easter egg hunt, she made sure my bloody nose got taken care of, or whatever it may be, right? You know?
Well, and it goes back to the mindset piece that we talked about earlier, because I think a lot of agents think they're in the sales business. And I tell my agents over and over and over again, you are not in sales. You're in the customer service and the value business. So what value are you bringing? And when you switch your mindset from I've got to sell to these people to I need to bring my people value, your whole business changes. And so again, with the follow-up piece, you have got to switch your mindset to how can I serve these people? How can I help them? And collect friends, right? Collect people in my life, collect human beings that I want to be around.
I love that. It's kind of like the Rotary motto, you know, service above self. If you follow that, then it pays off in dividends. And I really do sincerely believe that. And I think, Jennifer, you're a great example of service above self. You know, I laughed. One thing I do, you know, you write down, you know, notes about people. I check up on social media about them, you know, before we talk. And one thing the other day, as I was getting ready for this, I saw that funny video of you and Darren on your John Deere tractor.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was such a simple video, but it endears you to your followers, right? They're like, oh my gosh, she's out mowing her lawn. Now, whether or not you mowed the whole lawn or not doesn't matter. That's what your followers saw, right? Sure. And so, you know, I love that. So I know we've got a whole bunch of questions, but Jennifer, what else do you want to share? I love that you added, by the way, that always be, you know, collecting people's information, you know, prospecting. Anything else before we go to the questions aspect?
No, bring it on. What questions do you have?
Perfect. Rick, do you want to handle that? We'll bring you back in here.
Well, let me jump back in here. First of all, you guys did a fantastic job. Absolutely great. Thank you, Jennifer, for doing this.
Yes, thank you.
And I want to thank our guests. We had people from all over. We had realtors on there from New York, Florida, California, Washington, Virgin Islands was with us today. Cool. And we had some great questions. But the other cool thing was many of the questions that were asked, someone else was able to jump in the chat and help. They were helping each other with that. So that's really awesome. Now, at one point, Jennifer, you were talking about knowing your market, mastering that market. You mentioned the MLS. Are there other sources of information that you like to go to really know what's going on?
So your local boards my local board puts out a ton of information and stats, and I read those every single month when they send them out. And NAR puts out a lot of information for you. So in all sorts of different markets, and it's great to know other markets too. I mean, I just bought a house in Tennessee because I've heard a lot of great things about Tennessee, not to mention really good values there.
Yeah.
So, you knowing the landscape of the entire country, but really zero focusing on your own stats is crucial to your business.
All right, very good. Now let's see. We had another question here. This is kind of a long one, but it's probably important to a lot of the people online. They all have competition. It's all very fierce right now. And Joseph is talking about agents that list it really high and then just keep coming down until they find out it's really kind of slowing down the whole market. What's your position on that? How do you deal with that?
Joseph, I love that you asked this question because we are in a business where there's a lot of competition, and this means you have to step your game up, okay? So when you go to that listing appointment, prepare as if they're going to talk to 4 other realtors that are going to list it super high. And you have to have every ounce of information to convince the seller of why they need to list at that price. Not to mention, you need to bring up, there are going to be other agents that are going to list higher than this. And guess what happens? This is why it hurts you, seller. You're on the market for months and weeks, and you're wondering why, and they're going to come to you and ask for a price reduction. I'm a better agent than that. And I listed at the right price to get it sold. So you have to have your sales pitch ready and know who your competition is before you go in, and be prepared to talk about that and educate the client about that, because they don't want to be left on the market. They believe these people. How sad is that? They believe the realtors that are going to list it at an astronomical price and then come back and ask for a price reduction and go, oops, the market is not selling at that price, and pretend like it wasn't their fault. And again, one thing I say to my sellers is there's a lot of agents out there that all they want is a commission. So they're willing to do anything to get a commission. But I want you to succeed. And here's why. And I back it up with proof. Does that make sense?
I love
That's great. That's absolutely great. All right. Now, at one point, you were talking about CRMs. You mentioned that you have a proprietary system. The question from Betty is, what's the best company out there? That's probably not a question we can answer here, but maybe you can tell us why you decided to go with a proprietary system.
Betty, there's pros and cons to every single brokerage, and that I can say those things. And so you have to find out what it is you need for you personally. And I say this to every agent that comes and interviews with me. There's a lot of resources, a lot of benefits to each brokerage, and your own personal needs is what you need to be looking for, not for what a brokerage offers, right? Hey, I need this. I need someone that answers the phone. I need those, and find out, which brokerage does the things that you need for your business to succeed. But for our proprietary CRM, what you're basically just saying why I chose that? Because I'm a control freak. I want the CRM to do exactly what I need it to do.
That's absolutely valid. Totally valid.
Okay.
Totally valid.
I've seen a lot of tech through the years. I've seen a lot of systems, and there's some great stuff out there. And then there's stuff that's like, I drive a Porsche, and it's a little too much car for me. And so there's some CRMs, they're just a little too much for you, right? You're like, I just need this simple place that I can put my people in and be able to drip on them. So again, pros and cons to every CRM, pros and cons to every brokerage. You have to know who you are as an agent and what your needs are. And if you don't know that, take some time today to write your list of who I am and what I need. And then you'll be able to find what tech you need and what brokerage you need.
That may be the best piece of advice we've heard all day, Jennifer. Thank you for that. Now, as Brandon pointed out in the chat, the best CRM is really the CRM you use. So
totally.
Bear that in mind too. But he also had another question. He asked about this drip campaign and how you handle that. Do you use a monthly newspaper or newsletter, and do you have a special format, or what can you tell us?
I do use a monthly newsletter. And again, that's part of my proprietary CRM. And it's a little bit like spaghetti on the wall. Now, you probably know this, Brandon, because there's going to be, out of, let's say, 2,000 people in my database, there's going to be 100 that actually look at the newsletter, but it means something to them. So then I have to have other things, other ways to drip on them, social media. And there's going to be 200 that see the social media. And so again, spaghetti on the wall, but it is about being out in front of them, and you have to do it all. You just do. So have a CRM, have a newsletter, have social media, do all of it.
Yeah, very good. And one of our guests, let's see, was it Lisa? Lisa said you can also drip through your MLS depending on who you're using. So you should explore that option as well. All right, so we're getting close to almost taking up a lot of time for these folks. Jennifer, it was up to me, I'd keep you on all day. We can't do that, obviously. But I want to end with this question because it kind of hit me in the heart. It's a new agent, Ned. They got a lot of insecurities. They don't have the experience. They want to get started. They want to succeed. What would you tell them?
Kate, I am proud of you for asking that question, because it is kind of intimidating when you jump into a market where there's a lot of professionals that have been in it a long time. But your question clearly shows that you want to get somewhere with this career. So I'm excited for you. Some of the best things you can do is find other realtors and partner with them on things. I remember when I was a new agent and I was knocking doors, like I told you, but I was afraid to knock doors alone. So I'd ask somebody in my office, will you go knock doors with me? And what happened with that is we learned each other's style, and I learned something from her and she learned something from me, and I could see where she got success, and she could see where I got success. And the next door we went, we were great at it. So utilize people in this industry. Sometimes people feel like we're in a silo, we're by ourselves as agents, but you're not. There are people at your brokerage that want to help. There are people in the industry that want to help. Ask for help.
Jennifer Yao, I want to thank you so much for what you've given us today. It's been great having you. John, thanks for leading this conversation. And thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time on our Expert Series webinars. Talk to you then.